Welcome back. Why you break your own rules is not laziness or discipline, believe it or not. Now, if you keep breaking your own rules, like no YouTube before the gym, or you're skipping sessions, or you're breaking your diet, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your system makes breaking the rule feel like the safest choice for you. I saw this online. See if you can relate to it. I don't fail because I'm unmotivated. I fail because I break my own rules. I don't believe my issue is a lack of motivation. I set very clear rules for myself, like no YouTube until after work, or start working at 9 a.m. no matter what, and I genuinely intend to follow them. The problem is that the moment I feel bored, anxious, overwhelmed, or slightly uncomfortable, I break the rule and justify it as just this once. What confuses me is that this doesn't feel like laziness, it feels more like avoidance. The relief I get from breaking the rule is short lived, and then the same cycle repeats the next day, which slowly kills my trust in myself. How do you personally tell the difference between laziness and avoidance? If the root issue is avoidance, what strategies actually work long term, and what finally made your rules stick? So, in this video, I'm going to break down why you break rules so you can stop doing that and make your new habits natural and lead the healthy, fulfilling life of your dreams. If it's your first time here, my name is Reggie. I'm the founder of Fit for Freelance. I help business owners lose weight and feel their best without crash diets or guilt. Now, if you've been struggling with this, I've got the Live Online Scorecard. Free 3-minute quiz gives you customized answers so you can figure out what to do next. That's linked below on YouTube. Now, I want to point out here, talking about breaking your own rules, it's not laziness. Now, a lot of people will label it laziness. So usually a learned behavior, but that's what happens when you don't have practice identifying what's actually going on, which is emotional dysregulation, or you follow an independence driven culture, which makes you kind of like responsible for everything, including your emotions and everything that's going on around you, your entire environment. It says like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Now that is an approach that works for some people, but most people it's not helpful. And usually we need a little more compassion. So when we're using compassion, we want to know what we're looking at and which parts to focus on. This person said, the problem is that the moment I feel bored, anxious, overwhelmed, or slightly uncomfortable, I break the rule and justify it as just this once. This is a consequence of the underlying problem. Now, this is kind of like a red flag, something you notice and be like, this is not the outcome I want. We want to look deeper at what's causing this problem. I identified two things. I'll go over the problems and then how to address them. Now, one issue is that you choose to justify things that don't match your intention, right? They had these things going on and they use those things as an excuse to justify what happened. And then the bigger problem is that you have a system that creates an uncomfortable environment where it feels natural for you to make choices. That choice, the choice that doesn't match your intention and goals. So the systems problem is the bigger one that most people wouldn't even get to considering, and they feel like something's wrong with them, all that stuff that we don't want. All right. Now, here you have a system that doesn't make you accountable to follow through with your intentions or allow you to cope effectively with boredom, anxiety, overwhelm, or discomfort. Now, it's important to notice that these two things, your environment, that environment that we're talking, that doesn't hold you accountable, and your choices in that environment are interacting. They are like close, intertwined. You can't really focus on one without looking at the other. It's like the context for the choices that you're making. All right. So what we want to do is look at how your choice in that has consequences. Like you don't get the results that you want or do what you intended because you are in that environment making those choices. And then you get additional consequences like you don't trust yourself, you assume you're lazy or unmotivated or something's wrong with you. So we want to like look at the system first and then straighten things out. Now, overall, the big consequence, the relief I get from breaking the rule is short lived. And then the same cycle repeats the next day, which slowly kills my trust in myself. And that is something that we want to avoid when we're in this situation. So now that we've got a bigger picture understanding of all the challenges that we're facing in this and some of the consequences and the things that we want to avoid, we can take a step back and look at it. So to answer the question, how do you personally tell the difference between laziness and avoidance? The question, what is lazy? A lot of people don't have a clear understanding of this. They learn this from someone. Usually it's like an inherited characterization of when actions don't match expectations from someone else in your life. So they think you should be doing a bunch of things and they either haven't described them clearly to you or you don't see the value of them and you didn't do them. All right. So that is lazy. And then when you try to apply that to yourself, then you're kind of ridiculing yourself, tearing yourself down, making yourself feel worse, and labeling a characterization of your choices when it's really about unclear expectations. And that's a big part of that system that I was talking about earlier. The problem is usually unclear or irrelevant expectations. When you apply lazy to yourself for no apparent reason, like you don't even know where you got that idea from, no one else is calling you lazy, you're calling yourself lazy, then it usually leads to things like negativity, self hate, could be related to symptoms of depression in some cases, and it doesn't help you. Like when you call yourself lazy, that I mean, unless you want to change that specifically and it's motivating for you, it doesn't create effective systems on its own. It's not going to make your healthier choices or your more favorable intentions easier to make. So setting more clear expectations is definitely more valuable here. The difference between laziness and avoidance is when you do a behavior other than the intended behavior for the sake of better perceived consequences. So this is good because when you can think clearly about this, you can understand like, okay, if you are avoiding something, you're doing something else because it's going to be more rewarding or more fun or enjoyable, anything like that. So knowing when you're avoiding something, you want to think about the system and all the perceived consequences of the potential choices in that and the scope of the desired result. Now, an example of this would be if you don't want to go to the gym yet, you're procrastinating, you're putting it off, and instead you're watching YouTube, it's because you can get more satisfaction quickly out of YouTube versus the results that you're waiting for in the gym months later, right? Or going to the gym and like straining yourself, putting in more effort versus like doing something that's easy and convenient and in your pocket already. And that's something I point out here. The key is immediate consequences are more effective reinforcements or punishments for behaviors than distant consequences. Immediate consequences are more effective. So when you do something, you get feedback from it quickly, then you know, like, hey, that was super effective or that sucked, right? But if it's a delayed consequence, then you don't really get feedback and then it's not as rewarding as something like a phone app, right? Or something that's designed to be really catchy and fun to use, like YouTube. All right. So this is why people procrastinate. They do the behaviors other than the intended behavior for a better distant result. This happens all the time. So it's not just about gym habits, health habits, eating healthier, working out, but people historically and still like always have problems saving for retirement because you're putting off what you can buy today for a distant idea of what, like a comfortable not having to work kind of thing, right? But that's so far away where you can just buy something today or go on a trip like next week or something like that. So this is why people procrastinate because they're not aware of the consequences and how immediate consequences are more effective reinforcements. Now I know we're pretty far in depth here when it comes to this, but I want to let you know that this is how I think about things as a guilt-free health coach to help you understand your process of how you make choices. So that way you can make more effective choices that match your goal more often. Now, it's not just like, just do this, idiot, and then like something's wrong with you. It's more like, let's think about what can keep you in practice so you can get the results that you want. So back to describing this, like why it's easy to open YouTube and get a curiosity loop satisfied than do anything that will take longer without a perceived payoff. That's a more immediate consequence. And then that makes it more fun to do that short-term behavior versus like that long-term. So to get back to this person's question, if the root issue is avoidance, what strategies actually work long-term? How do you fix this so you can get the results that you want because you're following through with the actions that you're intending? Big question, big answer. Make systems so the favorable behaviors are easy to start as soon as possible and they get quick rewards. Make the favorable behaviors easy and fun. The good things that you want to do, the right things, make them easy to do and fun to start, fun to get rewards from. When you know what workout you're going to do, if you lay your clothes out, you meet with friends at the gym, you have plans for after you finish, or because you finish, like as a reward, we're going to go do this. Then you have lots of ways that make it fun to start, easy to start, more rewarding to do because you're creating an environment and a system that makes it better for you. All right. So having a plan, making it, taking out all the friction basically is how you do this. Now, I'll probably talk about this in another video because it's such an important topic when you're talking about how to get yourself to follow through, understanding consequences and rewards. So you do what you want to do without beating yourself up or feeling bad about yourself and all that stuff. Know what workout you're going to do, having a clear plan, laying your clothes out, meeting with friends, anything to build community and make it as fun and easy as possible to start and do. Keep in mind that long-term practically doesn't matter to most people. Most people also mess this up because they think that you're special and fallacies don't apply to them. So when you're asking what strategies work long-term, it's not about long-term. It's about strategies that work repeatedly in the system. So anytime you come up to that situation, you can make the correct choice for you. So don't worry about long-term, focus on now and immediate consequences that you can make rewarding immediately. All right. And then what happens, people think like, oh, I don't really need to do that. I'm better than everyone. Everyone thinks they're like so far above average, but that's not how statistics work. And it's not how human psychology actually functions. I mean, it's the psychology to trick yourself into thinking you're not falling for those tricks, but that's a real problem. So pay attention, use your short-term benefits and behavior science to your benefit so you get the results that you want. Now, finally, this person said, what finally made your rules stick? And these are the 3 parts of the live aligned method I talk about on the channel all the time. So this is how you set up a system that works so you don't get frustrated. You don't break your own rules. You don't wonder what's wrong with you. You don't undermine your trust in yourself, right? This is what my channel is all about. So I appreciate your subscription. First, let's talk about vision. It's knowing deeply why you were doing things. This is when you're thinking in terms of legacy, impact, and quality of life, not just passing a test, not just doing a short-term thing one time. This is more about understanding your big purpose, your impact that you're wanting, your legacy, your quality of life daily. And it's based on a question I love to come back to. What does a healthy, fulfilling life of your dreams look like? Now, that doesn't have to be exactly what you use, but thinking about what you want your life to look like and whatever is most important to you. And I think health is really important and having a sense of fulfillment. So, you know, so the vision, knowing why you're doing things makes it easier to follow through because you're motivated. You understand why it's important. Next, focus, setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound objectives that contribute to the vision. Now, a vision is kind of like a big pie in the sky. You might do like a vision board in January, or, you know, write down a bunch of goals that you want or ideas that you have. But having the focus is what kind of creates attraction in order to make that happen. And that comes with having realistic objectives. So you know what you're trying to do, what you're aiming to do. If you've done it, when you hit a certain time point, if it's important to you, that kind of thing. So that could be like, I want to go to the gym twice this week. I'm going to go Tuesday at 6 o'clock and Thursday at 6 o'clock. I'm going to do this workout. That way, at the end of Tuesday night, you can look and determine if you've done it, yes or no. Did I go to the gym today? Yes. Right. And that also gets you motivated to go because you have a plan to do it. You already have clear intentions that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And when you have the focus locked in with the vision, you see like, if I go to the gym twice a week, then I will feel more confident in my ability to follow through, and I can have a lot of fun while I do it. And I'll get the results from being more fit, having bigger muscles, having more toned body, losing weight, all that stuff, right? So this is what happens when you have focus after determining your vision. Click like if that's what you're into. Finally, the third part of Live Aligned method, practice creating systems with clearly identified and relevant consequences like rewards and punishments that hold you accountable in all circumstances. People miss this in several ways, and then they feel stuck when they only use punishments as consequences, usually talking harshly to yourself, feeling like you're not good enough. That is not usually the best way to get yourself to do things, right? You undermine your confidence. And when your confidence is down, then it's harder to do things, so you don't believe in yourself. So using your full array of consequences, so it's easier to stay in practice, creating systems with clearly identified consequences so you know what will happen if you don't follow through, right? Here, in this case, this person justified whatever was going on in their life short term. And when you do that, you're not holding yourself accountable. And then there's no consequence. You're just like, oh, well, it was difficult or challenging. And like that is a fine choice to make. But if you keep doing that, then you're not keeping yourself accountable. You're not taking yourself seriously. You're not following through with a focus that contributes to your vision. You're doing something different than what you intended. And you're not being the person that you say that you're being. And so that incongruence feels like you're lying to yourself and it hurts your confidence. Instead, you want to create systems where you know what will happen if you don't do something, what will happen if you do what you intend to do, and then create the systems to make it more rewarding to do the things that you intend than to skip it. Now, I know that can be confusing in a YouTube video, but send me a message on Instagram. I'll talk to you more about any part of that Live Aligned framework where you're talking about vision, focus, and practice, and like making it way easy, because I'm really breaking it down for you so you understand. You can start to think about this on your own. And if you need more support, I'll be glad to help. Now, when it comes to creating a practice, I prefer to make it compassionate. And what happens a lot of times, people think that their consequences have to be punishing, harsh, demeaning, demoralizing, negative things. And it doesn't have to be. You can hold yourself accountable in a kind way and be gentle and be like, oh, okay, well, this is what happened. Do I need to adjust the plan? Or do I need to adjust my determination to follow through with what I'm doing? Do I need to plan better for things that seemed unexpected? Was I realistic with my plans? Was my focus correct? All that stuff. These are questions that I would walk you through one-on-one if as a client, so you could understand like, hey, this is a gentle way to approach this so you can get the results that you want without beating yourself up. Now, next, when it comes to consequences, a timely feedback system that recognizes and adapts the focus step if necessary, or demands that you make appropriate adjustments to stay on track with achievable and relevant goals. That's kind of what I just said. When you're talking about if you have timely focus and you know what you're meant to do, then it's easier to follow through and get the results that you want. And then you can make adjustments if it's something that is too challenging or too aggressive, or you set something unrealistic or it wasn't relevant to you, or you don't even want to do, then you can have a checkpoint to make adjustments and get on track with what you want. All right. And so really the first steps are in that Live Aligned scorecard. Check that out. It's personalized. That way you can get a simple next step to take. I went pretty far in depth. I don't even know if I'm going to keep this video up. It's like behind the scenes of the Live Aligned method, but I think it's valuable for you to think differently. If you're struggling with breaking your own rules and you're starting to feel like it's something wrong with you or you're lazy, it's not you, it's the systems that you're using. And that's what I really want to get to. That's how you fix it with vision, focus, and practice. And then next, you can watch Beat Laziness, the deep secret behind motivation for workouts and business, where I clarify it a little bit more. I'll put that video here. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, keep practicing. Peace.